I'd like us all to rise while Mr. Pileski leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call. Mr. Belmont is not in attendance. Everybody else is here. Like an approval of the minutes, may I have a motion to accept the minutes of the August 14th, 2024 monthly meeting? Motion, Mr. Lunar. Second, Mrs. Aragona. All in favor? Presentations. Dr. Lynch.
Thank you, Mrs. Danino. Well, we're proud to announce that we have a Long Island Scholar Artist named for the 2024-2025 school year. That is named by the Long Island Arts Alliance, and it is Mr. Eric Riley, who's going to come up for a T-shirt. I think I've seen him here. One more, and I don't want to spoil any of the suspense for the October meeting, but there'll be some more kids that will be called up, and Eric Riley might be one of them also. We're going to have really big information about NYSSMA very soon, and there'll probably be another bunch of T-shirts given out next month, so everyone be prepared. Then I'm also excited to say that on the other side of the house, the New York State Public School Athletic Association has awarded Lynbrook a District of Distinction because we have at least 75% of our teams making scholar athlete programs. So that's great also. And now I'm going to turn it back to Mrs. Danino.
Thank you, Dr. Lynch. So at this time, I would like to welcome our new staff. So many of you are here this evening. We're so excited to welcome you. Natasha Boyce, who's working for the district, the school counseling and social work. If you can stand when we call your name. Alyssa Angelevic from West End, elementary teacher, grade 4. Amanda O'Sullivan, district-wide athletic trainer. Ashley Martin, the high school social worker. Carly Tansky, kindergarten center teacher. Kira Gordon, high school E&L teacher. Jessica Doria, Marion Street and West End occupational therapist. Kara McGuire, kindergarten teacher at the kindergarten center. Karen Barry, Waverly Park, Math AIS and E&L. Kristen Ryan, Waverly Park, elementary teacher, grade 3. Kyle Slewick, PE and health teacher. That's South. Marissa McKay, kindergarten center in West End, speech. Michelle Wong, West End, E&L teacher. Rachel Casano, kindergarten center and high school occupational therapist. Susan Macheni, Marion Street elementary teacher, grade 3. Matthew Renz, high school guidance counselor. Michael Cirabelli, high school social studies teacher. And Thomas Rochford, North special ed teacher. Yes, I know. I think I might have taught some of you. You're all so young. But we welcome you, and we're looking forward to a wonderful year. Thank you. And
And if I could just, oh, that's right. This is
great
the
idea.
class photo. So I have to say, notice, I just want you to all notice, they are being so obedient tonight. They're sitting, I told them to sit in the first 2 rows, and they're doing it. And it's just, stay this way forever. Just, No, we actually had an awesome week last week. We did a week of new teacher orientation, and we talked a little bit about instruction and a little bit about what it means to be an owl. We took a little bus ride, gave them some pizza, and now it's time for your photo. So here we go.
And I'm going to pause for a moment because I know tomorrow's a big day. And if you want to take this time, you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting. We won't notice. It's okay.
Have a good
Thank
first
you.
day
Have
of
a great
school
day
tomorrow.
The front two rows are open now if anyone wants to sit in them. Okay, we'll go on with reports from trustees. The building inspections. Mrs. Kelly or Ms. Aragona, do you want to report on Waverly Park?
Okay, so hopefully you can hear me. I'm not used to this mic. Waverly Park is a gem. We went through with the head custodian, the principal, and as well as the 2 PTA reps. The building looks phenomenal. The grounds, the murals. I have to tell you, the custodians hit it out of the park. I had no concerns. And it had been many a year since I'd been down in Waverly Park. It looked phenomenal. So, and Mr. Sadis back there, our director of facilities, did a great job with, and I went on all the building inspections so far. So it's called being the new kid on the block. You want to get to do everything. Any questions regarding Waverly?
Thank you. Ms. Aragona? The admin building as well, yes.
I went to the administration building. Again, it looked great. The custodians did a wonderful job. They've had a couple of minor upgrades, nothing major, and they're definitely continuing to upgrade as well. It looked great, and they did a great job.
The kindergarten center as well? Sure, thank you.
Okay, similarly, kindergarten center, I can't wait for those babies to start there tomorrow. When they walk in, from the second you walk in the door, it's just wonderful. The attention to detail in the building is what struck me the most. The chairs, the tables, everything is appropriately sized. Any place where a little one might get down on their hands and knees to pick something up off the floor, there is not a sharp edge in the building. There is not a speck of dust in the building. Every teacher's classroom was already decorated, and I was in there week and a half ago now, everything is ready for them to start their journey here tomorrow. So, again, it looks great.
Perfect. Thank you. And then West End and North, if anyone wants to report on those.
Okay, I did visit West End and North, and I was blown away by the cleanliness and the upkeep of an old building and a very old building. The West End, there's only so much you can do structurally with a building over 100 years old, but the upkeep was remarkable, and you can't say enough about the job Mr. Sater and the head custodians and the staff do. The classrooms were all set up like Ms. Kelly said, and that's teachers coming out on their own time and doing that and setting it up. The amount of time elementary school teachers put into setting up classrooms has always been remarkable to me. I would never do it, personally, but they definitely, really, you can tell that they love doing that, to put that much time. Yeah. But both buildings are in great shape, and the upgrades over the last few years, you can tell, have really added to North Middle, and the usage of the fields and the lights and the stuff we need on the outside, and the orchestra and band rooms within the building were great. It's the most you can do with the space. It's a good job.
Great, thank you. And we have upcoming inspections tomorrow at Marion Street and South, and on Saturday at the high school. At our reorganization meeting in July, board members volunteered to serve on the following committees. For the audit committee, myself, Mr. Lunar, and Mr. Pileski. And Ryan Butler is the parent representative. The policy committee is Mrs. Aragona, Mr. Lunar, and Mr. Murray. Facilities is myself, Mr. Murray, and Mr. Pileski. For adult education, Mrs. Kelly. BOCE's budget representative, Mr. Lunar. The diversity liaison is Mrs. Kelly. The legislative representative is myself, and the PTA liaison is Mr. Lunar. Old business, we will be having a work session on September 25th to discuss next year's fiscal outlook. New business, our board goals. At our board retreat in July, we came upon our new goals, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Lynch to present these goals to you.
Thank you, Mrs. Danino. So the board felt it very important that we build upon the goals from last year and kind of continue those all into a phase 2. So goal 1 will be to continue the profile of the OWL goal. The goal stated will be by the end of the 24-25 school year, Lynbrook Public Schools will use the profile of the OWL findings to evaluate its educational programs and recommend curriculum improvement and professional development to address the identified needs. Just to let you know, when I get to my superintendent's report, I'm going to be doing a little bit about this because we already started on this yesterday. One of the goals here is it wasn't good enough just to have a process last year. We need to have it make an effect on the educational program. So that's going to begin with this year. Goal 2 is to establish a multi-tiered system of supports framework, and that's so by the end of the 24-25 school year, Lynbrook Public Schools will execute stage 1 of New York State's MTSS1 framework. That's a lot of words to say we need a system, an articulated system, that deals with kids' social emotional learning, their academic learning, and their behavioral supports. So last October 23rd, the state of New York put out a framework of what that should look like in New York State. We took a look at it last year, and we decided the great continuation of our SEL goal from last year was to continue that into a formalized process by putting together the MTSS framework. And then goal 3 will be the continuation of the communications committee, and that is by the end of the 24-25 school year, Lynbrook Public Schools will complete an evaluation of its website and social media presence and begin to implement a unified communications strategy. So as you can see, we have begun our rollout of Parent Square. That was the result of last year's communications committee. So I know I sent out a message last week. I got 150 likes. I'm feeling really supported by this community by having 150 likes on my message. I now get social media. But what you'll see, I think I'm almost Gen Z at this point, so you'll probably notice. I know Mr. Sorosi, you put one out a couple of hours ago. Not that I'm watching or anything like that, but people will be receiving that in digest form, and you'll start to get used to these communications. One good thing is we are having some bumpy rollouts because it's getting information from Power School and it's cleaning it. I thank Mrs. Dewar Johnson and Mr. McDermott for helping us clean the data. That may take a couple of weeks to work out, but we're going to get there. Just to let everyone know, we are ready for the worst case scenario. If we needed to ring every phone we're not going to do that very often anymore. Ring every phone in the district, but we're prepared to do so if we had to. Most of it will be these casual posts. I'm even thinking of doing a more regular communication with the community, just this type of an update, just because it will be. Parent Square lends itself to that, and you might be hearing from different people. We introduced Mrs. Boyce tonight. She's the new director of school counseling. She may have some SEL tips that she may want to distribute with parents. So I think you're going to see some improvement there. But what this goal is about is building on Parent Square. We now looked at our website, and yes, PTA, we have heard you. It's very disorganized, and you can't find anything, and we need to do a better job at that. So the committee's going to look at that. It's going to look at how that website feeds into our social media presence, and also I think what we communicate, when we communicate, what those guidelines are. So it's a broader conversation, and really one of the things we have to start. We do a lot of good work here, and a lot of people don't understand that we do a lot of good work here. So maybe we need to shine a spotlight more on some of the good work we do. So those are the 3 board goals. Any questions?
I just had one question about the Communications Committee. Because Parent Square is a really robust product, will we look at coming off of the numerous platforms that we have and try to have everyone on a single platform?
So in regards to, so one thing that I'm very conscious of is when I look at what other, and not that we need to be measured by other districts, but for example, when we have an event, we broadcast that on our Facebook page because we want to get to as many parents as possible. With Parent Square, if we know we're hitting the full, there are some things that are meant for parents. So that's one thing. But now I think the substance of your question is, are you talking specifically about like Power School versus Schoology versus Parent Square?
I was really more thinking of like Remind versus Final Forms versus Parent Square, or just straight up text messaging that some teachers still do.
So we're trying to move everything into Parent Square. So what we would say is right now, no teacher should be using an app that is not monitored and registered to the district. So Parent Square is the way that we will accomplish that goal. The one exception may be Final Forms because we have outside coaches using that, and that's going as a text message, but I know I'm in conversations with them to maybe bring them into the Parent Square world too also. So that answers that.
And Parent Square always sends out an alert when it sends a message. Right?
Yeah,
you
so
can't turn off the notifications, right?
Yeah, so
people don't miss.
you can turn off the notifications. The other thing that parents should be careful about is you may be asking it to digest things for you, and that means you'll only get a delivery once a day. So like, for example, Mr. Sorosi sent out a communication today. It is received when you want to receive it. So unless we override it, because like my welcome message, I overrode it because I thought everyone should see it at that moment. But for the most part, most of what we'll send out is in digested form. And then parents, you really have a lot of control over how we contact you. So that's whether you have alerts on or off, what schools you're following, what type of information you want to get.
Maybe we could send like a cheat sheet of those
That's a great
things
idea.
to parents so that they know they don't accidentally turn off notifications so that they're seeing the things, because I know some groups send group me's or things on WhatsApp and my notifications go up and I'm like, oh, I missed 20 messages. So that doesn't happen to people. Okay, so can I have a motion to accept the board goals for 2024 and 2025? Mr. Murray, a second, please. Ms. Kelly, all in favor? Thank you. The New York State School Board's virtual annual meeting will be held on October 10th. Each district is entitled to a delegate who will vote on proposed resolutions and bylaw amendments. Would anyone like to be our delegate? Mr. Murray? Thank you. Superintendent's report, Dr. Lynch?
Thank you, Mrs. Danino. So yesterday, we opened school with just the staff, and we had a superintendent's conference day. As is traditional now, we had all employees in the high school gym for a little breakfast and to hear my talk. What we did yesterday, though, was to take the profile of the OWL findings, which are going to be formally presented to you at the October meeting. But we didn't want to wait till the October meeting to get to work on some of the curriculum enhancement. So if, with your permission tonight, I want to just look at 3 slides that we looked at Superintendent's Conference Day, show you what we presented to the staff, and then how we're using that information. So the first thing we talked about is that the 3 themes from last year remain: OWL Proud, OWL Learns, and OWL Cares. I think these 3 hashtags kind of say what we're all about. OWL Proud being our tradition. We're proud of our tradition here and the long gold and green line that goes back to 1892. But at the same time, we need to be all about OWL Learns. That's the mission. Tradition, mission. The mission is to also change while staying the same to meet the needs of the kids that are in front of us. And finally, OWL Cares is our soul. It's what Lynbrook has always been about. It's about caring for the whole child. Now, that being said, I'm now going to give some preliminary results to the profile of the OWL study that the board has seen in copious notes. It was a lot of data. But for the sake of the staff, I just wanted to summarize it really quickly. So the first thing I want to show is something that what I referred to when I told the staff yesterday. In some research findings, there's something called a screaming finding, and a screaming finding means it leaps off the page. This goal that came out of the research was above a 90% response rate coming from parents and the community, and that is that character and social emotional learning are as important as academic learning. That is something that this community at a 90% rate has told us that we need to be in this business. I think people see we do it, but we need to put a new focus on it. Similarly, self-awareness, self-esteem, emotional regulation, these are the skills that kids need. The traits that the community wants us to concentrate on, and I thought this one was interesting. A lot of the comments were, you're asking me about 2036. How do I know what the world's going to look like in 2036? The answer is producing kids that are open-minded, adaptable, with a strong work ethic. Those are the type of kids who will succeed in the 21st century. This next one is an interesting finding. It didn't necessarily, back from my doctoral days, I used to talk about popping findings. This one didn't pop, but I disaggregated the data because I think it's a voice we need to listen to. 60% of the students surveyed asked for time management skills. And I think those of us who look at how, especially in this building, how these kids are doing literally everything. There's class night, there's a sport, there's a concert. And when you hear 60% of your kids say, can you please help us with time management? I think we need to give that almost like a revered spot. So that's why that makes the slide. And then equally coming from the parents, loud and clear, screen addiction, cyberbullying, compromised social skills are the most significant concerns coming out of the parent community. So those aren't the only findings, but those are the ones that I thought were worthy of like popping out and showing the staff yesterday to concentrate on and really be our guiding compass. Then the other thing we took a look at is what are the skills, mindsets, and traits that the community is asking for the OWL of 2036. Why 2036? That's the year that last year's kindergartners will graduate. So they're already in our school. Actually, they're in first grade now. So what is that product that we need to be putting before those kids? The community was clear. Critical thinking and problem solving are most valued skills. The reason being, I don't know what the world's going to look like in 2036, but if you think them to think deeply and critically, they will stand a chance in the 21st century world. Interpersonal and communication skills, and this popped, especially writing, are essential. Parents and staff members, because a lot of staff members also responded to this survey, were concerned that in a world of AI, what becomes of writing? We need kids to not just write clearly and well the classic 5-paragraph essay, but are they writing properly in the contexts for which they need to write? Are they writing technical scientific language appropriately? Are they able to switch from scientific language into the language of humanities and not just do the basic rudiments? So there's some work that we need to be doing on that. So this was the one thing. We heard you loud and clear. You don't think we're probably not doing this as well as you'd like us to do it right now. It's not what school has been about for the last 100 years. But we hear that now, real life skills, financial literacy, digital literacy, career and vocational preparedness. We heard loud and clear from the survey. Not every kid is destined to go to college. Let's start to put them on the road to trades starting in this high school. That needs much more attention, and especially couching it in the world where AI is being more and more important by the time the kids come out. So those are the real life skills. So I think those were good for us to talk about. So now I'm going to talk about what we did with this yesterday. We took the faculty. First of all, we presented this to the entire staff because everybody in this building who works for us now knows that yesterday I told everyone you're all in the business of learning. I don't care what you do in this district, you're in the business of learning. So they all heard that loud and clear. Our monitors and aides got ruler training, so we already started to address some of that social emotional goal there. But what we did is we took the teaching faculty and we did 2 breakout sessions. In the morning, Dr. Belekas took a random number generator, as only Dr. Belekas could, and he assigned a random number to every faculty member in this district, and we put them in groups led by a teacher leader. We thought it was important that these groups not be led by administrators, but by teacher leaders. We put them in the room, and we asked them to reflect on this slide, and we got data from them about what they thought this meant in their world. And it was great because you could have a 5th grade teacher from Waverly Park sitting next to an 11th grade AP teacher from the high school. They may have both worked here for 20 years and may have never been with each other. So we're hoping 2 things happen there. We've read some of the initial stuff. Some great ideas came out of it. But we also want relationships to come out of it. There's so much our high school teachers could learn from our elementary teachers, and so much our elementary teachers can learn from our high school teachers. So that was the goal of that session. Then we let them go to lunch. Yeah, we let them get out for an hour and stroll around a little bit and get a sandwich. And then in the afternoon, they came back to what we call their traditional groupings. They went back to their grade levels, they went back to their departments, and they discussed, again, with teacher leaders, not with administrators, how do we do this? How do we already do this in our curriculum? And how should we be doing this in our curriculum? And then most importantly, what do you need from me? What do you need from this administration in terms of professional development to get you there? And we talked a little bit about a different model of professional development. That professional development is not about putting 250 people in an auditorium and talking at them. It's about them being in professional growth situations where they're going to be working on actual products. So that's what Superintendent's Conference Day was about in a nutshell. I felt it was a successful day. I think people, had some thoughtful discussions, but it can't end there. That's all I'm going to say. That was simply the beginning. So that was kind of my report on both Superintendent's Conference Day and the profile.
Thank you. It sounds interesting. And when we get the report from the state in November of how they're revamping things, I feel like this could really
I don't want to
play.
put Mr. Sorosi on the spot, but he and I had a conversation, just a private conversation that I'm not going to share with the whole community, but we were talking on the phone today, and we were saying just how almost freakishly this all comes together at once, where what the state is asking and the process that we're embarking on, and also joined together with real life skills and interpersonal skills and critical thinking, it's almost all happening at the same time. And hopefully we're well poised for those conversations.
And I'd just like to add to that, I know that our work session later in the month is going to start the conversation around the budget because, there's budgetary concerns statewide, locally, et cetera, that we need to start planning for well ahead of time. And I think that these are the things, when we do have to make tough decisions, these should be like our guiding light for which decisions to make and how to make them.
So again, Malloy University will be here in October to present formally present you the findings, but this is a good kind of Cliff Note version of it. Then just to finish my report, so on October 11th, everyone mark it on your calendar. That is early evacuation day, so the kids get out at 1, and we will be enacting, we test 5 drills that day, among them the reunification, the accounting for all persons, and several other drills. So that's all going on October 11th. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Press, who's going to talk about food and the capital projects.
Thank you, Dr. Lynch. Not much really to update on the food program. We are set to launch this year, and at the elementary level, I'm excited to see a full year of hot lunch 5 days a week. As you recall, last year we started with cold lunch, and then we slowly introduced the hot lunch. So I'm looking forward to seeing the numbers this year as compared to last year. On the capital projects front, we have a bunch of new lights up at Marion Street. On the field there. The poles went up over the last month, I believe it was. They are not functional yet. We are waiting on some work from PSE&G, and that we should hopefully get some kind of response from them in a couple of weeks. They have to have their engineers kind of look at things and end up putting a transformer on one of the utility poles, and then we'll connect to that pole through a transformer on our property, which we have all the stuff on our end. Our electricians, the contractors are starting, they'll start their work soon. So we're hoping to have some better progress to report, hopefully maybe later this month on that. Fingers crossed, but we are subject to PSEG, we're subject to the whims of Mother Nature as well. And when storms come through, sometimes PSE&G has to kind of shift their priorities on that. The lights for the parking lot were scheduled at Marion Street as well. We're scheduled to get those around the middle of this month. And we don't have an ETA on that or on when those will be up and running. But the hope might be to get that work done over the Rosh Hashanah holidays when the school's closed here, so that we don't disrupt anything during the week. There's a bunch of concrete work got done over at Marion Street as well. We replaced the stairs out of the back of the building, some of the concrete in that area as well, the ramp down to the cafeteria, which was in kind of bad shape, and then we took out the steps that lead down to Waverly Avenue, and there's a nice ramp there as well. That work is, the concrete is done. We're still waiting on some final touches with some railings and a gate. But it looks great. It looks great over there. The bathroom at South Middle School is done. My update just went away. We're just really waiting. We're waiting on the new door. So the old door was reinstalled. There is a door on the bathroom. We're just waiting for the new door there. West End, we redid roof on part of the building. That is completed as well. We're just waiting on there's a ladder that will allow our employees and workers to go from the upper roof to the lower roof. That's the last piece that's awaiting to be done there as well. And just some smaller projects that took place over the last month. You'll notice the planters out here, those are for security purposes. So we had those delivered, and then we'll get some soil in them, and we'll do some plantings there as well. And at Waverly Park, the Gaga pit, we were waiting to get that in, and that's been done. So a lot of work going on around the district. Again, I've been on all of the building inspections so far. The buildings they look incredible. Particular kudos out to those head custodians who had activities in their building this year, like summer playground and summer school. I don't know how they turn it around as quickly as they do, but they've done a great job, and the buildings look incredible. So thank you to Mr. Seda and his staff. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Press and Dr. Lynch. At this time, the floor is open for public comment. Please come up and state your name.
Hi, Mary Beth Salter, resident. It's more of a question, really, about the planters. If they're for safety reasons, why are they only on that side of the building?
We did look at, originally, the thought was to extend them further down. The issue is that the grass kind of juts out more on the southern part of the building. So if we were to put the planters there, it would narrow the available walkway more than we were comfortable with. We felt that might create its own problems. And more of the issue, our concern was the traffic really coming off of, that Atlantic Avenue, the street that way. That's where we feel that the greater concern was.
Okay, and what about the fact that there's a handicap spot on Union, and there's a planter right in front of the handicap spot?
We looked at that when we were planning out the locations, and the planters were far enough back that it wasn't going to be a concern for doors opening or people being able to exit the vehicles there.
Okay, it just seems very tight to me. I mean, it's not a
Okay.
personal concern, but it's been brought to my attention by a couple of people that think that the planters are too close together and that they're supposed to be further apart. And I do understand that Nassau County was involved in the conversation as far as the planters, but you know, I want to make sure that we're following all the ADA compliance. You know, I can't even post a flyer without it being ADA compliant. So it's a concern to me that it's very tight over there. And when there are kids walking around also, I just feel that you'll find out tomorrow that I think it might cause more problems than actually like being being safer. I mean, I saw kids outside during orientation. They were sitting on the planters. They were all like goofing around. Kids are walking down the block. They're big, heavy planters. And if you've ever seen lunchtime out there, the sidewalk is packed as it is. So, you know, I know we have security guards, but now that's just another thing for them to have to worry about. Kids getting pushed into planters, kids walking in the street because it's going to be less room on the sidewalk for them to walk. So I just think, you know, when it was brought to the PTA, that was not at all what we had envisioned. So, I mean, every time somebody drives by the high school, my phone blows up. Like, what's with the planters? So, I mean, I just hope that there's going to be something like that will look at it and see if the plan is actually making sense. Because as I see it right now, it doesn't make sense for safety reasons if you're not going to extend them all the way. I understand on the corner maybe, but I'm just relaying what I'm hearing from the community.
Okay,
So,
all right, yeah, well, I mean, we'll take a look. I think the spacing, they were 4 feet apart, Jim? Yeah, approximately 4 feet in between the planters. We didn't want them to be too wide that would allow vehicles to get through, but wide enough where, you know, things were accessible. But we'll certainly keep an eye on that, and I appreciate the information.
okay, because then there's also two that kind of wraparounds over on the where the bike racks used to be. Like, is that just because we ordered too many, or?
No. I mean, that was also, again, because, you know, our concern was that
But they're
traffic.
up against the brick wall. They're not doing anything. They're just like wrapped around the corner and they're on, like against the wall.
The ones that are going in this direction, like perpendicular to the wall?
They're literally against the wall. So that even
We'll take
makes
a look
it
at
even
those.
tighter when they're walking like off the corner. So
Okay.
I'm just
We'll
saying,
take a look.
we need to keep an eye out and see if it's actually making the kids safer or if now they're going to be walking in the street because there's not enough room for them on the sidewalk. So,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else at the microphone, I'd like to ask for a consent agenda on resolutions 2409C1 through 2409C19, 2409NC1 through 2409NC20, and 2409G1 through 2409G24. May I have a motion, please? Mr. Platsky, second, Mr. Lunar, all in favor? May I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Mr. Murray, Mr. Platsky, second. All in favor? We will have a work session on Wednesday, September 25th regarding the fiscal outlook for next year. Tomorrow's the first day of school. I hope everyone has a great school year. And I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting. Ms. Kelly, second. Mr. Murray, all in favor? Thank you. Have a wonderful night and a great year.